and welcome to Life Chats with Maggie and Bunny. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bunny.
Well. Hello, Bunny. Today we're going to talk about anticipatory anxiety, robbing you of your peace.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Does it? What is anticipatory anxiety? And do you suffer from it? Do you feel it in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make things more difficult for you? Is it real?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things we're going to uncover today in this podcast. So, or at least touch on,
Mm-hmm.
maybe to get you to do some more uncovering as you're listening. And I personally believe that anticipatory anxiety is a real thing because the mind plays big tricks on us. I don't know about you, Bunny, but it certainly does me.
Of course it does. We know. We've supported each other sometimes through some of those moments. For sure.
And I've been experiencing some of that myself.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we do certain podcasts, when we do certain topics, then I'll go, oh, why did you share that? Because stuff is going to happen. And then your mind starts with all the anticipatory stuff that could happen.
Right.
Like could happen from that, or you get a call that somebody needs your help. They haven't told you what they need your help with, but your mind starts with all the possible things that could be.
And usually the worst case scenario is the first thing that you think about.
Yeah. It could be from a medical situation, which I've been dealing with lately. And in that, you anticipate the worst possible thing that could be going on. And does that rob you of your peace? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it create anxiety in your mind? Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a situation in our world that there was a Microsoft bug that caused people a lot of issues. And then people start having anticipatory anxiety of what if it happens again?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things about anxiety. Anxiety is all about predicting the future.
Right.
It's like I remember somebody explaining it to me a long time ago that if you're depressed, it's because you're thinking too much of the past. And if you have anxiety, it's because you're going too far into the future and not staying in the now. And I think that's what anticipatory anxiety does for you. Right. It gets you anticipating every possible outcome that could be bad. Right. Most of the time for us, it does not give you possible outcomes that could be wonderful.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Now, I will touch on the fact that we're not saying that anxiety is bad or wrong or that you shouldn't feel that. For sure.
Absolutely
a lot of us experience that. And in that moment when you are in a anxiety spiral or in this anticipatory anxiety spiral, you might not see a way out.
Right.
Because kind of like on the whole idea of frequencies, it's in like the lower probably fear in that area of frequency, because that's the main reason, like the fear. It is our way of protecting ourselves because we're trying to protect ourselves from the potential hurt or harm that we could have, or maybe even things that like you have experienced in the past. I like one thing that I'll say is like maybe a breakup, right? If you're dating somebody and they say we need to talk, right? You might just
for sure.
You might start to have the anticipatory, oh no, what are we going to talk about? It's going to be something bad, because they wouldn't say that. And I will say, even without a breakup, I've had that even in school or with a friend or at work, where they say,
Hmm.
oh, you know, after you get off that call or after you deal with that customer, come and see me. I have something to talk to you about. Right away, immediately, it's like, oh no, heart starts pumping really fast, adrenaline starts pumping through my body, and I'm like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Is there going to be a mistake? Is there going to be something like,
Yep.
and just all of these things, and it's like my body's amping up for that fight, flight, freeze, fawn,
Yep.
all of those, and there is, in that moment, in that now moment, I'm safe.
Yep.
There's nothing to run from. There's nothing to fight. There's no, like,
Yep.
there's nothing. And then you go in and the person's like, so this is your yearly review and you're getting a raise. And it's like, huh? Like, I was amped up and ready for you to fire me. And like, not only just fire me, this anticipatory anxiety will be like, I'm going to get fired. That means that I'm no longer going to be able to pay my bills, which means that I'm going to be homeless. I can't feed my family. Where are my kids going to sleep? Like, just keeps
Yep.
go. It's like this snowball rolling down the hill that just runs away
Gets
from
bigger
you,
and bigger and bigger.
bigger and
And
bigger.
yeah, and like, I had an example of that even yesterday in my own house
Mm.
with my husband. And it's funny because he might not even like me sharing this, but hey, it's what I do.
Yeah.
And I simply said to him, I was in the living room, he was in the kitchen, and I simply said to him, I need to talk to you for a minute when you're done that.
Mm,
And out of his mouth, in a less than happy tone, was, what now?
mm,
So he was anticipating that I had something bad to talk to him about, or he
right.
was in trouble, or he did something that pissed me off.
Mhm.
Like, he was anticipating that. But really, all I wanted to talk to him about was me going away at the end of the week and the logistics of, are you coming with me, or are we
Yeah.
going separately, or that. There
Right.
was no other than communication.
Right.
It was just, I want to communicate with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was already anticipating that he did something wrong.
He was already getting his defenses up. He was ready for the fight, putting up his putting up his dukes, put him
Like,
up, and
what
getting
now? What
ready.
now?
Yeah.
And, and that sometimes is the reality of it,
Yeah.
because then I immediately kind of got my back up a bit and I
Right.
said, well, can you not use that kind of tone?
Right.
Like, what's that all about?
Hmm. Yeah.
So before we're even having a conversation, it has the potential to escalate into something else.
Right.
And when you think of that in everyday life, how
Hmm.
often does that happen? In the workplace, in our relationships,
Hmm. For
in
watching the
people that we
news.
randomly meet,
Yeah.
that anticipatory stuff can get you in trouble
Right.
and
Yeah.
can really send you off kilter. And like you said in the beginning, it's not that either one of us think anxiety is not a big deal. It
Right.
is.
Yeah.
We both have talked about
Yeah.
before and have come completely open about
Yeah.
suffering from anxiety. And anybody who has never had anything to do with anxiety, bless you,
Right.
because you have no idea what that feels like.
Right.
And there are people who haven't, so they might
Yeah.
think something
Yeah.
different of it. But I think anticipatory anxiety is a really big deal. It's a real
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, not necessarily you or anything, but sometimes when anticipatory anxiety can actually continue when we're still not sure, there's things that are happening, and if we're to share with somebody, they may say to us, what are you talking about, and like kind of push it away, and that
Yeah.
doesn't help us at that moment. It's when you're feeling that, it's like, it is like a spiral, like a downward spiral. Like, you do start bringing in all these things that might not even be involved in it, and
Yeah.
having, I mean, I understand the person is trying to help you, like they are trying to help you, but in that moment, you don't you can't reach for your tools. Like
Right.
I know that, we've done mindfulness together. We've done so many different tools that, like, breathing, like so many different, but when you're in the middle of a trigger, it's like those tools might as well be in another province at that moment,
Yeah.
because there's no way that I can reach for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is, I just have to sit with that. I have been learning in the last year or so to actually like feel feelings in my body, process them through my body, so they're not just thought about, because the thinking stuff is where it keeps bringing up the new
Yeah.
story, the new things, and it can get you kind of going places where it definitely is robbing me of peace. And sometimes even, especially after a big episode of anxiety, the physical toll it takes on you
Yeah.
from the panic and everything and the adrenaline, you might want to sleep. Anxiety has caused me to not be able to eat or drink, to feel sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
to feel kind of weak, to not want to be with other people, to not want to go to places,
Yeah.
right?
Because you don't feel safe within yourself,
Right,
therefore you don't feel safe in other places.
right.
And I find validating your feelings,
Hmm.
whether it's an anticipatory anxiety or full-fledged anxiety,
Right, right,
it's at all times validating how I feel
right.
and validating it to my own head.
Hmm.
You know, I understand this is how you feel. You're allowed to feel that way,
Yeah,
but is it real?
right. Yeah,
Could there be another option?
yeah.
And it's just when you validate the feelings,
Hmm.
sometimes that gives you the ability to take a pause.
Hmm.
And that's where the mindfulness kicks in, because it's in that pause
Hmm.
that you can breathe
Right.
and sometimes stop the train from running off the track.
Yeah. Or at least slow it down. At least slow it down, maybe. Because
Yeah.
I think that that's the most important, is like, you do have to, and there's other things too. I know that John Shearer had shared with us once the 5 4 3 2 1 method.
Yep.
So where if you're really spiraling, I also know that there's another thing that I just recently learned. If you ever think you're stuck in an emotion, the version of you that's stuck just doesn't feel safe. So kind of reminding yourself, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, like just kind of saying that very much can like help calm down your nervous system. Even
Yep.
reminding yourself that you're an adult, in because some of the things may come from wounds and stuff from when you're a child and you're triggered by something,
Hmm.
which will then trigger, these big fears and anxiety. And you can remind yourself that I'm an adult. It's 2024 or 2025, whatever year it is, the date. I'm an adult. I'm safe. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
And taking yourself back
Hmm.
to a time when you did feel safe and
Right.
happy. Whether, like for me, it may be in my mind going back to a vacation,
Hmm.
going back to a time when I was sitting out by the water and I felt completely calm and relaxed,
Hmm.
and taking myself there for a minute, because we can take ourselves to safe spaces in the midst of anticipatory anxiety
Hmm.
or in the midst of anxiety.
Hmm.
Just take yourself for a little vacation away from that and just say, I'm recognize what's going on right now, but I'm just going to take a minute and go back here so I can remember what that felt like.
Right.
And sometimes just rebooting, it's kind of like rebooting a computer.
Hmm.
Sometimes just rebooting your thoughts can make a difference, you know?
Right.
This mind thing is the biggest computer system that we have.
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes it as well needs to be rebooted and
Yeah.
defragged.
Yeah. 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 Look at those words you're pulling out, Maggie, today. Maggie, the person who used to say she's not techie, just said rebooted and defragged. But we do also, I just want to make sure as well, we don't give out medical advice. We are not medical professionals. We're
No.
not trained. But if people did need to talk to somebody, if they're finding themselves in deep despair and anticipatory anxiety that they do think they need help with, definitely reach out, whoever it is that it is for
Yeah.
you, whatever
And
that looks
almost
like.
every country,
Mm,
every place in the world
right.
has 24-hour
Right.
hotlines where
Yeah.
you can get support. And that's a good thing because
Absolutely.
sometimes reaching out to those hotlines is a kind of reboot as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a kind of reality check of, this is what I'm feeling.
Yep.
And even just talking it through with somebody else on the
Right.
other end of the line or on the other end of the computer,
hmm
if you don't have a friend to talk to about it, you know, sometimes talking to that professional is exactly the support that you need.
Right.
Hearing yourself say things out loud.
Yep. Yep. For sure. And I know
So for
we have
sure.
we have so many different things, like you could journal things, there's so many different techniques and everything, and definitely people can, coaches and therapists and counselors can help you with that, doctors can help you with that. And there's never, I know that there, like, people talk about stigmas and stuff. There's never, never, never should be a stigma if you do need medication for anxiety. That
Absolutely.
that is something that is out there for you, and it's not a problem if you look into that. We
Yeah.
do know people who have used medication as a temporary relief, to get them through specific times in
Yep.
their life where they're experiencing that. I did want to talk about sometimes as well too about how anticipatory anxiety can also creep up on you for things that, like, you don't know why you are having anxiety. You don't know why. Like, there's not a specific, like in those other cases where I said, hey, I got to talk to you later. That was the trigger that triggered it. You could
Yeah.
wake up and go, like, I'm feeling anxious today. I'm anticipating that something bad is going to come down the line. I have no idea why. Um, those things can also happen to people. And I mean, there's different reasons and different thoughts and ideas on what that is. For me personally, my I also know that I can have I can feel other people's emotions over the world and all of that. I can be affected by what is going on with the state of the world. I do keep myself away from watching news specifically for that, but I do still get some
Yeah.
information. And so sometimes, that can ruminate in my brain, and I could think about, well, what does that mean for the world and for the safety of my
Yeah.
children and my future grandchildren, whatever, and those kind of things. And yes, so some of these, it is important that when you are triggered, try to do whatever it is, whatever things it is that you can do to try to get yourself back to a calm nervous system so you can start to, like, look at
Yeah.
different
And
things.
sometimes it can come too from just little tiny things adding up
Right.
to something big. I remember like my grandmother and my mother used to say, don't cry over spilt milk
Right. Yeah.
because sometimes spilling the milk is what
The-
pushed you over the edge.
yeah, I was gonna say the final
Or,
straw.
for example, I can only speak to myself. Today I was cleaning my cupboards because we have an ant issue in our
Right.
house. And those little tiny ants were causing me a lot of stress because I don't know how they're getting in. I don't know
hmm
why they're getting in. I don't, you know. So it's sometimes those little tiny things, like
Yeah.
an ant, can cause you a giant amount of trouble.
Right.
So if you get a lot of little things on
Yep.
top of the other, you know, our central nervous system can handle the big things,
Yep.
but it's all those little things we can't handle. And
Right.
when they stack up, sometimes it takes us by surprise,
hmm And
the little
and
things.
I will say too, I know that also the kind of best things that you can do for yourself is try not to shame and guilt yourself over your reactions, especially after you've come out of the anxiety spiral. Um, and maybe afterwards, after you hear the, oh, you got a raise instead of the you got fired, and then you go back to your desk and go, oh my goodness, like, why did you think that? Why, like, that actually also robs you a little bit more peace, and just
Yep.
be like, huh, I guess that's still something I I need to look at, is what it is that is doing that. And yes, it is our body's way of protecting us. But like, I believe in John's book, he said something in like, we used to have to worry about being eaten by like a saber-toothed tiger or something. We
Yep.
no longer have to do that. So, but that kind of stuff is still inside us. And so
Hmm.
we're always looking for that. I do know that I had heard about a time when there was a group counseling with multiple people, and the counselor had asked them to consider what their life was going to look like in a year, or what things could change in a year. And all of the people had listed things like, sickness and death, and like a whole, like losing jobs and becoming homeless and starving and losing friendships, losing family, losing a whole bunch of things. And then he said, isn't it funny that none of you said anything positive? None of you said, a baby could be born, or a new job, or a new,
Win the lottery.
yeah, exactly, right? And so just to let you know that it is quite common for us to jump to that space as a way
Yeah.
of protecting ourselves. So you're not alone. Maggie and I do these podcasts mainly to let people know that, they're not alone. And
Yep.
we have the same feelings and the same things going through. And even if people look up to us as being spiritually aware and healing and doing, yes, we do that work. I do that work every day, 24 hours a day. I mean, I do have fun, but I have fun doing the work too. And I
Right.
do the work, and I find out the different things, and I use journaling and gratitude and like all of the different things, meditation, all of the different things, self-care, like everything that I've been taught to do. I do those. Sometimes though, that anticipatory anxiety or just kind of gets me,
Sneaks up.
and all of those tools don't help in
Yeah.
that moment. So that does, just to let people know that. And yeah, sometimes, like, I have in the past said, but this stuff, you teach this stuff, you counsel this, you coach people with this, like, this is what you do, you help other people through this. And but then it's like, wait, like, that, if I was loving myself, if I was talking to a person who loved me, would I say that stuff to me? No. And it's not
Hmm.
helpful in that time. So I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, thanks for letting me know that version of me. And I will continue on my journey. So,
Right. So if you're like us, looking to change your life, just
mhm,
keep doing it one day at a time. And
yeah,
when things come up, look at them in a different way instead of beating yourself up.
yeah,
And anticipatory anxiety is a real thing.
yep,
And if you experience it, don't beat yourself up for it.
right, yeah.
Right. So thanks for listening today, and
Now it's my
back to you,
turn.
buddy.
So if you would like to become a guest, or if you know somebody who you'd like to have speak with us, or even where we can speak with them, if you want us to be a guest on your podcast, you can reach out to us at ataboveandbeyond@gmail.com. Visit our website, ataboveandbeyond.com, to be able to see not just this stuff, but also our books and everything else that we're doing. And yeah, just find us on Spotify, everywhere else you find podcasts. If you want to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and also give us likes and comments, we would appreciate that as well. That's it for me.
And today we anticipate great things. Have a fabulous day.
Bye.
Bye.